Hi all, this is Dr. Sage Breslin and this is Wisdom Wednesdays. I had a weird experience last night. I've been exhausted because the dog's been barking at night and, I'm sure she's exhausted too. And I had this great insight and a moment later it was gone. And there was part of me that could kind of just feel relieved, and I could say, oh, like chemo brain. Even though I am finally off the chemotherapy, it takes a while to kind of restore. But it led me to think about how many years ago I had that same feeling. And I wonder if this resonates for any of you. To be a powerful, well-educated, well-trained professional woman and to feel like outside of yourself, to feel as if your brain's not operating, on all of its, sectors, that you can feel like you should be able to think, you should be able to draw conclusions, you should be able to remember things, and then all of a sudden you just can't. And you look and it's not hormones, which for many of us at this age it is, and it's not chemo brain. But what you notice is that period of time was or is when you were in a really unhealthy relationship, a toxic relationship. And I certainly know that for so many women in toxic relationships, and frankly for men as well, that it's not just feeling isolated, because when we're in toxic relationships, oftentimes we feel like we can't talk to our friends or our family because they'll ask, well, then why don't you just get out? And so many of us can't explain why we stay. And so we just stop having those conversations and we just stop talking about it and we just get more isolated. And, I think a lot of us in unhealthy relationships or toxic relationships, we don't even know why we stay. Frankly, we tend to kind of forget who we are. We certainly forget who we were. We lose track of all that. We just don't operate on all cylinders. And a huge part of that is just that when you're in a toxic relationship and somebody is constantly telling you, no, you're the problem. No, what you think is wrong. No, what you're doing is wrong. And when you've been gaslit over and over and over again until you stop even recognizing that you're being gaslit, that connection that you had to who you were and how you operated, it just goes away. I mean, thank God temporarily until you get out of the relationship, but it just goes away and you end up feeling disconnected from yourself and disconnected from your mind. It's like you don't know what real is. And so you just operate in this sort of weird, confused state, like a chemo brain. And so many of my clients ask, is that forever? Is it permanent? And the reality is that once you are able to get the support you need to step away from the relationship, I know in the Rose system and, what we do here at the Institute, the first thing we do is help you remember who you are. We look at who you were before you got into the relationship. And not just, passage of time, but we look at what were you capable of? What kind of job did you hold? Even if that job is being a mom, like how well were you able to do things and operate and function? And who were you? Did you have fun? Did you have friends? Did you have family? Did you travel? What were the things that you did that you associate with being you? And then we just look for the data to support your truth. And sometimes we look for the data that is in place currently for the untruths, for the convenient lies that you've been told during gaslighting. And once we can help you remember who you are, then we can go back to all of the lies you've been told and snip all those little ties and anchors so that you can be free of the toxic relationship. So just remember, maybe it's not chemo brain, maybe it's not even hormones, maybe it's the toxic relationship you're in. So my wisdom for the day is take a look at who you surround yourself with. Take a look at the life you're living. Take a look at the truth that you hold for yourself and make sure it's yours. This is Dr. Sage Breslin. Would love to hear about how you're keeping it real in the comments.